Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Vijay Girituri, and in today's video I'll explain you how to create an EKS cluster using auto mode. Okay, so let me open EKS in a new tab and directly select here clusters, and here you can see currently we don't have a single Kubernetes cluster. So let's create a new Kubernetes cluster with auto mode. Okay, so directly select here create cluster. So here we need to select this with EKS auto mode. Okay, and here we need to give the name of the EKS cluster. So if you refresh this randomly, it will provide you some of the names, or else if you want to provide some of the different name, you can directly remove this and you can directly provide like this AWS EKS hyphen auto mode, or else EKS auto mode. Okay, so let me provide the cluster name like this. So this is the cluster name, and here Kubernetes version I'm going with 1.32, or else if you want to go with some latest older Kubernetes versions, you can directly select your Kubernetes versions according to your wish. Okay, so I'm going with 1.32, and now here we need to provide cluster IAM role. So directly select here create recommended role. So here trusted entity type we need to select AWS service, and use case it is automatically selecting EKS, and here you can see it is automatically selecting EKS auto cluster. Directly select next, and now these are the 5 policies. Okay, so directly select next, and this is the role name. Okay, Amazon EKS auto cluster role. So we are going to attach this role to our EKS cluster. So directly come down and directly select create role. So for this role we are going to attach all these policies: Amazon EKS block storage policy, Amazon EKS cluster policy, Amazon EKS compute policy, Amazon EKS load balancing policy, Amazon EKS networking policy. Okay, so we are going to attach these 5 policies for this role. Okay, so directly come down and select create role. Now here you can see Amazon EKS auto cluster role. So we need to attach this role to our EKS cluster. Okay, so directly refresh this and drop down this. And here you can see Amazon EKS auto cluster role. So I'm going to select this role. So now we need to select node IAM role. Okay, so directly select here create recommended role and directly come down. So here you can see use case automatically it is selecting EKS, and here EKS auto node. Okay, so directly select next, and here you can see it is selecting 2 policies, which is Amazon EC2 container registry pull only, Amazon EKS worker node minimal policy. Okay, so these 2 policies are selecting. So directly select next, and this is the node role name. Okay, so here you can give the name whatever you want. So I'm going with the default name Amazon EKS auto node role, and these are the 2 policies we are going to attach to our role. Okay, so directly select here create role. So now a role will be created. So this is the role Amazon EKS auto node role. So open this. So inside this you can find these 2 policies: Amazon EC2 container registry pull only, Amazon EKS worker node minimal policy. Okay. So similarly, if you want to check for cluster role, you can directly open this first one, and here you can see these are all the 5 policies. Okay, so now let's come here and just refresh this. Now drop down this, and here you can see Amazon EKS auto node role. Okay, so I'm going to select this directly, and here VPC. So previously I created a custom VPC for this EKS cluster, so now I'm going to use that VPC. Select VPCs, and here you can see EKS VPC. So inside this VPC, I created with 2 subnets. Here you can see 2 subnets and 1 route table and 1 internet gateway. Okay, so I'm going to create that VPC. So directly drop down this and EKS VPC. Inside this VPC, we have 2 subnets. It is automatically taking these 2 subnets. Okay, so these fields are enough to create EKS cluster in auto mode. Okay, so if you want to see your cluster configuration, you can see everything. So here you can see cluster IAM role. We created an IAM role and we attached this role. And EKS auto mode, we enabled this. Okay, so node IAM role we created and we attached this node IAM role. Okay, so default node pool it is selecting general purpose and system. Okay, so these are all the cluster configuration, and when comes to this is the networking configuration. So we selected our EKS VPC, right? So this is the VPC ID. So here you can see this is the VPC ID. So we selected two subnets, right? So these are the two subnets and security groups creating during cluster creation. Okay. So while creating cluster, it will create a security group. Okay. Cluster endpoint access public and private, and cluster IP address family, which is IPv4. Okay. So these are the networking configuration and these are the cluster configuration. Okay. You need to provide only name of the cluster, and you need to provide IAM role and node role. Sorry, cluster role and node role. Okay. And here you need to select VPC. Under which VPC you want to create this EKS cluster, it is asking. You need to select only this field. Okay. So directly come down and directly select here create. So now EKS cluster will be created in auto mode. So it takes nearly 5 to 10 minutes to create this EKS cluster. Okay. So currently here you can see it is in creating state. Okay. So I will be back once it is in running state. So here you can see after 20 minutes our cluster has came to active state. So here you can see, here you can find all the cluster information like Kubernetes version, which is 1.32 and provider is EKS. And here in overview, here you can see it is created last 27 minutes ago. And here you can find all the details of your EKS cluster. So here you can see this is the API server endpoint and this is the OpenID connect provider URL, and it is created last 20 is the cluster ARN and this is the cluster IAM role. So here you can see this is the role we created and we attached for the EKS cluster, and this is the certificate authority. Okay. So now in compute, directly select here compute, and here you can see built-in node pools. So we created general purpose and system. Okay. So everything is created by auto mode. Okay. So now let's try to connect to this EKS cluster. So let me open this Cloud Shell, and here to connect to this EKS cluster, so this is the command AWS EKS hyphen hyphen region. So here you need to provide your region. So on which region we created this EKS cluster, it is asking. So I created this EKS cluster on US East 1. So let's wait, it is loading. So here you can see US East 1. Okay. So now we need to come here US hyphen East hyphen 1, and here update hyphen cube config hyphen name. So here you need to give the EKS cluster name, which is EKS auto mode. So this is the name. Okay. EKS hyphen auto hyphen mode. Okay. So now it will connect to our EKS cluster. So here you can see it is successfully connected with our EKS cluster. Now when I hit kubectl get pods hyphen a, it will display all the pods in all the namespaces. So currently here we have only two pods, which is metric server pods. Okay. So now let me hit kubectl get services. Here you can see this is the default service which is provided by Kubernetes. Okay. So now let me run a sample pod kubectl run my pod hyphen hyphen image equal to nginx. Okay. So I'm going to run a sample pod with image nginx. Okay. Now kubectl get pods, it will display all the pods. Here you can see currently it is in pending state. Now kubectl get pods, so it will display our pod. Now let me display this kubectl describe pod, and which is my pod. Okay. So now it will display entire details of this pod. So you can see 0 by 1 nodes are available and pod scheduled on this node, and now successfully assigned on default names, which is my pod, to this node, and pulling image nginx and successfully pulled image nginx, created container which is my pod, and started container my pod. Okay. So here you can find all the events. In events you can find all the things. Okay. So here you can see this is the image container ID, and this is the image we are using nginx, and this is the image ID, guys. Okay. And this is the IP of your pod. Okay. So let me clear the screen. Now kubectl get pods hyphen o wide, it will display entire pod information, guys. Here you can see it is displaying with IP. Okay. So now if you want to delete this pod, kubectl delete pod and my pod. Okay. So it will delete this pod. Now when I hit kubectl get pods, we don't have a single pod. Okay. So this is how you can create EKS cluster using auto mode, and you can connect to your EKS cluster using this Cloud Shell. Okay, not only Cloud Shell, you can connect from external EC2 instances, or it may be anything. Okay, so and yes, that's it for today's video. Now, after completing your labs and everything, try to delete this EKS cluster, guys. Okay, why? Because means AWS will charge some of the amount from you after completing your labs. Try to delete entire resources. So directly select your cluster and delete, and here directly copy this name EKS auto mode and paste it here, and directly select here delete. Okay, so now this EKS cluster will be deleted in 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so in next video I will explain you how to create this EKS cluster in custom configuration, guys. Okay, so in real time most probably we use only that custom configuration. Okay, so I will explain you in next video. So and yes, that's it for today's video. And if you like my video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys, and see you in the next video, and bye.